Hi guys, welcome back to Algebra 1 Semester 2. This is day 11 of summer school. Today's learning target is to be able to graph parabolas in standard form using the vertex and line of symmetry. So, a couple of things that you're going to need to know before we begin. First is, what is the standard form? The standard form of a quadratic equation is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, where a, b, and c are numbers. C is a constant, a and b are coefficients, but those could be any number. The only kind of hesitation on that is that a cannot equal 0, because if a is a 0, we're going to end up with a line. So when we graph a quadratic equation, we create a U shape called a parabola, spelled parabola, but pronounced parabola. There are different types of parabolas. If a, that coefficient of x squared, is positive, then the parabola opens up like a smile. There's the example of y equals x squared plus 2x minus 5. Notice that a is positive 1, and it opens up like a smile. However, if a, that coefficient of x squared, is negative, then the parabola is going to open down like a frown. So that's the picture of what negative x squared plus 3x plus 7 looks like, is that it's going to open down. Okay, the axis of symmetry. The axis of symmetry is the vertical line that divides the parabola into two equal parts. If you think back to sort of your symmetry, looking at kind of geometry ideas, the line of symmetry is going to divide that parabola into two equal parts. And that's really a helpful thing to know, because your vertex, which we're going to talk about in a minute, is going to lie on that line of symmetry. The formula for finding that axis of symmetry from standard form is x equals negative b divided by 2a. So you're going to take the opposite sign of the b term and divide it by 2 of a. That's going to give you the equation for the axis of symmetry. It's also going to give you the x-coordinate of your vertex. So the axis of symmetry is the vertical line that divides the parabola into two equal parts. The vertex of a parabola is the turning point of the parabola. So if you look at those pictures up above, you'll notice that on the first one, as you are going from left to right, the parabola is going down until it hits the vertex, and then the direction changes, and then it goes up. On the right-hand example up there, as you go from left to right, the parabola is increasing until you get to the vertex, and then it starts decreasing or going down. When that vertex is the lowest point of the graph, it is called a minimum. When the vertex is the highest point, it's called a maximum, because it's going to be either the lowest value that y can be or the highest value that y can be. So let's look at this first one as an example. So to find the axis of symmetry, what you're going to want to do is use that formula. So we want negative b divided by 2a. Well, a in this example is 1, b is 8, and c is 15. So to find that axis of symmetry, we want the opposite of b, so we want negative 8 divided by 2 times 1. So we want negative 8 divided by 2, which gives us negative 4. So the axis of symmetry would be x equals negative 4. to find the vertex, you want to plug in the x value of the axis of symmetry. So to find the vertex, we're going to take our equation and we're going to put -4 in everywhere we see an x. So -4 squared means -4 times -4, which is positive 16. If you're using your calculator, you want to definitely use parentheses, otherwise you're going to get the wrong answer. Plus 8 times -4 is -32 plus 15, which adds to -1. So that gives you the y-coordinate of your vertex. So my vertex, x is -4, y is -1. So to get my sketch, we can just draw a xy axis. We have a vertex at -4, -1, so that's 4 to the left, down 1. Now, to decide if this is going to be a minimum or maximum, we want to look at that a value. Since a is positive, that means that this is a minimum, and my graph is going to go up from there. All right, let's look at the second page. So, the steps to graphing a quadratic equation. The first thing you're going to want to do is to find the axis of symmetry. Remember that that is x equals -b divided by 2a. Then you're going to want to find the vertex by plugging in the x value you found for your axis of symmetry into the equation. Then for step 3, you're going to put your vertex in the middle row of the table and fill in a table of values using your calculator, and I'll show you guys how to do that using Desmos. Then you want to plot the points and connect them in a smooth parabola. All right, let's look at example number 2. Notice that A is 1, B is 2, C is -1. So to find the axis of symmetry, I want -b divided by 2a. So we want negative of 2 divided by 2 times 1. So we get -2 divided by 2 is -1. So the axis of symmetry is x equals -1, and the x-coordinate of our vertex is -1. All right, once we know what the x-coordinate of our vertex is, which is the axis of symmetry, then we can move to step 2 where we find the vertex. And we find the vertex by plugging in that x value into our equation. So we get y equals -1 squared plus 2 times -1 minus 1. -1 squared is +1. 2 times -1 is -2 minus 1, which is -2. So the y-coordinate of that vertex is -2. Then that's going to be the value that you put in the center of your table. So -1, -2 is the center, is the vertex. And we're going to put x values in that are both to the left and to the right of that value. So counting down, we would have -2 and -3. Counting up, we'd have 0 and 1. Those are the x values that we're going to find when we go to our table. Now, I'm going to show you how to use Desmos to do this. So I'm going to open up Desmos. Oops. And when you go to desmos.com, up at the top, you'll see Start Graphing. So if you click that, that will take you to the graphing screen. Yours might look a little bit different in placement, but the tools are all the same. And you want to type in your equations. So y equals x squared, use that a to the second power button, plus 2x minus 1. And if you look, you're going to see your vertex is right there at -1, -2. That's a good place to double check and make sure that you're on the right track. Now, you'll notice that there is a settings cog. So if you click on the settings icon, that will open up some options for you. And there's this, this first option looks like a table, and that's what you're going to want to press. And that opens up this table of values. Now this one goes from -2 to +2, so we're okay there. We just really also want to see -3. So you can type that in down below and it will give it to you. Just make sure you put it in order, just to make sure that you get it right. So when x is -2, or -3, sorry, y is +2. When x is -2, y is -1. When x is 0, wait, did I get off? Yep, when x is 0, y is -1, and when x is 1, y is 2. So we're done with decimals. We can kind of just throw that out, put that to the side, and now we can plot those points on our graph. So when x is -3, y is +2. That's that value right there. When x is -2, y is -1. When x is -1, y is -2. When x is 0, y is -1. When x is 1, y is 2. It gives you a really nice shape for your graph. Then you can connect your dots, and you get a pretty good idea of what your parabola is going to look like. Now, the domain. Remember, domain is all of the x values that could go into this graph. Well, since this arrow goes up and left, it's going to go to the left forever. And since the right-hand arrow goes up and right, it's going to go to the right forever. So my domain here is all real numbers. By the way, you might see some weird symbols for that. One weird symbol would be this capital R with an extra bar. And that would just say that that's an all real numbers symbol. Now, for our domain, we do have or for the range, we do have a lowest y value. Our lowest y value is our minimum at -2, and then because those arrows go up, it goes forever. So that means that y has to be greater than or equal to -2. All right, I've walked you through one. Please do problems 1 and 3 on this page. Make sure you upload it. When you're done, you can turn the page, and I would like for you to do all of page 75 as well. Okay, make sure that you're showing your work, taking your time. Don't rush through these because it is important that you understand how to do this part. Thanks for your hard work. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Thanks.